Yes, you can't resist.
All righty, we're on. We're recording.
We're recording, okay, first. Has everybody reviewed, I think the next thing is take a look at, take the minutes. Send them out. We can have them. I didn't forward them with everybody, but yeah, you forwarded.
In fact, I even gave them to Dan, but I can't give them to him until they're approved. So I'll send them out again to him.
Would anyone like to make a motion to approve? Peg?
So moved. Second.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you. We kind of cleaned up those pieces. Well, Mike and John are trying to get here. The next agenda item I just want to talk about is page
Sorry,
2.
you just have to take a vote.
Oh, I'm sorry.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, keep me honest here. I'll never learn this part.
I worry, will. You'll be fine. We got your back.
I go, thank you, somebody's got that. We're gonna touch upon the schedule probably twice. I think we're gonna talk about it now. We're gonna let Mike and John talk about the two sites we're looking at. Then we'll come back to the schedule because it's time to try to make a decision. We need to continue to hold in on that. We'll get more urgency on Mike and John. But what we're at here is, site selection, we're looking at the 14th and the 28th. This is the 28th. The week of the 20th, John and Mike proposed some ballpark figures. And I'll let them restate it rather than me. Peggy, we were there. We had different cost analysis for the upper floors and bottom floors. And cost analysis for the garage where we're going to put the van. I'll let him go through that in more detail. He'll be more accurate than I am. It seems reasonable. So we're not going crazy with price ones. But let him state that. Review the design with the committee is the big piece for tonight. Talk about where this thing eventually sits on the two lots. And also what the building floor plan looks like, size and shape. And he can talk in more detail, Lonnie, to the ADA number that we threw out, that I gave you the other day. $375,000.
Oh, you gave me that one?
I sent an email, I think. I'm sorry, it was in one of the emails I sent out.
No problem.
$375,000 basically.
That's good.
What he came in for elevators, some of the assist he would need for bathrooms and other areas.
Yeah, I just had a conversation just earlier today. With Senator Fenton and his office and then him, and this was one of the items. So that's good. I'll get this back to him.
Okay.
Tonight.
Yeah, I thought I sent an email. I should have followed up with it. And then, early December, once we come out of this meeting, we figure out where we're at on site selection and reviewing what John will present this tonight, Mike. We should be thinking about how far away are we from presenting to the board of the select board. What our recommendation would be, what are the costs to look like? What are the things we're trying to do to achieve the May deadline? Which is, as you pointed out last week, Mike, we need to be ready and wrapped up in April. The January 1st timeframe, the critical dates we have is that we need to get the building to the estimators to get the detailed estimation built. And Mike wants to do that by the 15th. He closes his office on the 23rd for the holiday. I think the 15th would be nice to say, here's what we want to do with the building, basically. That means the next couple of weeks we may have to do a little scrubbing. He said we can do it a little bit.
Gentlemen. Another entrance.
Oh, hey guys, come on, join us.
Hi there.
We were just kind of going over the schedule, Mike.
Yeah.
And I was actually talking about the part of your section here where we say the early December 15th, trying to get it down by us. And then you'd be sending this off to the
Screen.
Do you have a thumb? We have a thumb drive. That's easy to plug in. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whichever's easier. Yeah.
Thumb drive, I mean.
Yeah, I'm thinking it was. Yeah.
Then we roll right into January goes out. February, we want to get a date, get money, dollars. Zach, we'll have estimates this evening,
Yeah.
so we can start thinking about it.
Yeah, this one PM. I think that'll be.
And then we present the full package. But we've already gone to the board and told them, here's the estimates, here's what we're thinking, here's our sites. So this is just, the
Okay.
detail.
It's gonna be in that folder, yeah. PDF one's easy.
Well, should we define what's in the full package?
The full book is March, I think.
And I'm assuming it's for March, you're gonna want some sense of how where financing options might look like.
Well, there'll be some action items I'd like to throw out to the select board. If there's any money in the, whatever the money was, the ARPA money.
I mean, I think what you probably want to look at it all in and work with Jody and team to figure out.
And that's one of the action items I put down here. We need to schedule that date. And I'll let you be the lead on that if you want, like, I think.
Next, I'm good. We're doing it.
Whatever works on her schedule.
Great.
I'll be more than glad to work with her. Okay, what we're gonna do here is wait for these guys to fire up. The part you missed is just the opening, basically. We'll review the schedule.
Excellent.
We said we want to make a decision. We're going to review the schedule again because it's important after you're done. We'd like you to hear while we talk about site elections. Is it really concerning you? Here's what's still open action items, maybe. And then move forward. But with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mike and John.
Okay, thanks. So tonight, we're gonna look at that. So, okay, are you gonna drive, Lonnie?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's easier unless you
Yeah,
want.
no, that's fine. No, you can do that. So tonight we're gonna go through modifications we've made to the building based upon several meetings with the committee and members of the Council on Aging about the size of the building, some increases in space they felt they needed. So we're going to look at that tonight, and then we're going to look at 2 sites with the building on it and talk about the pros and cons that we see of both of those sites. And we'll go from there. We're also going to look at cost. And so we've done this is not an official estimate. We've done an estimate based upon some numbers we have from other projects that are similar. So you can see the range that we're in and whether we keep going or whether we go back to the drawing board. So this is the program that we put together. We're going to look at this in a floor plan, but just so you can see where we start, we actually list all the rooms, the sizes of the spaces, occupancy. So we end up with a logical way to get to what the size of each of the spaces in the building is. Excuse me. So go ahead, John.
Yeah, just a note there, I guess, you can scroll in, the total occupant load currently on the size of some of the changes we made is at 359.
Yes.
So if you scroll that, there we go.
Yeah. So
And then-
right now
Yeah.
we're in a building that is about 12,890 square feet total of usable space. So Lonnie, if you go to the next slide.
Yeah.
Is the way to zoom out on that again? Yeah, there we go. Okay, so this is the entry floor, the main floor of the building. We're entering here. One of the things that I want to say before I go too far is that you're going to see this building placed on 2 different sites tonight. The building would need to be tweaked a little bit based on really the entry point, based upon depending on which site you guys actually pick. It will not change drastically, but it'll be tweaked. But currently we actually have a lobby. We've got the administrative spaces, reception where people check in. Admin is actually separated by a glass wall. Lobby where people can mingle when they show up in the morning or wherever during the day, chat a bit. The library's off of there. We come back to a kitchen, multi-user restrooms, and the large multi-purpose room that seats about 125 people at tables. If it were set up as a theater, it could seat more than that. Okay? That room has actually got a divider in it such that it can be set up in a smaller room for lunch, and then the other half of the room can be used for other activities that go on at the senior center. So this is the main floor of the building. There is a deck off the back. And then we actually have an elevator and stairs that are gonna take us down to a lower level. So if Lonnie, you could go to the next slide. So because our site is sloped, we end up with more than half of our building. What would normally be a basement is actually all exposed at grade, has windows, doors to get outside. So it feels like a first floor. So we come downstairs, either through the elevator or the stair. We have storage area. We have all the area used for the food pantry. We have multi-purpose classrooms, another large multi-purpose room, which has direct access to the exterior. So other groups from town can use that space. That room there is more than twice the size of the room we're in tonight. So they could use it. They could actually have access from outdoors, and they have access to restrooms. We have a game room down there, and we have men's and women's shower rooms in case they need those. So these are the spaces that the Council on Aging told us they needed, roughly the sizes they needed to do their work, to serve the town, offer some growth. It's not a ton of abundant space, but it's really what they felt they needed and they could grow into. This would serve you, how many people a day did we say, Amy? 80 to 100?
Oh, sure, yes.
So,
We're anticipating with the more space, yeah.
right. So they could go up to 80 or 100 people a day. Currently, you're at about how many people a day?
30 to 50.
Okay, so almost double, if not more. Okay,
The note on the occupancy number, the calculation on that 300 number was based on the rooms. You have to put so many people, a room designates X number of bodies. Doesn't really mean that and that's for storage and water. I don't think we'll anticipate 300 people in there.
no, I think 300 people would be a lot.
Leave it alone. So but the size of a conference room or a classroom or a function room dictates a number of bodies that can potentially be in there. So that increased head count to 300 and whatever. But the realistic number we look at is probably somewhere around 125 people. And then functions downstairs. There could be things where you'd have a friends meeting downstairs, where you could have a Lions meeting downstairs in the function rooms as well.
I mean, one thing I would suggest is scenario-based justification. So you get two large conference rooms. The first question you're going to get is, why do you need two? Really, two things going to be happening at the same time where
That's how the
both are needed. So I think when you think about the story, have some real scenarios where you can have a quick response to say, we need that type of space because we've had this situation. Does that make sense?
Good point. That's actually good. We could identify programs.
Yeah.
One of the problems that we have is reconfiguration. We can't run concurrent programs. So you can only run one thing or another thing. You can't. And we have possibilities to have these multi-purpose rooms. You could have the evening yoga program.
Yeah.
And you could have, as an example, but there are many other programs. We can take it right from the list that Amy has. These are the kind of functions that would sit in these rooms.
So in the document that we give you, we will discuss in detail what goes on in these spaces. So that it becomes a public document so that people do see. And as you're talking to folks in town about this, they understand that big room upstairs is a big event. They can sit 125 people at tables. When the divide is closed, they sit, 40, 50, 60 people for lunch. And then there can be an activity going on in the next room. This big room down here could have another exercise or some other activity going on in it. Well, there's something in there, but we will actually talk about what can go on in these spaces. So what we really want to do is leave nothing to anyone's imagination. Part of getting public approval of these things is making sure the rumor mill, even though it will go, we try to head it off as much as we possibly can. On the next slide, please. So this is roughly what it looks like. We have just 2D elevations tonight. Previously, we had done 3D renderings, but the building has grown a little bit. So in preparation for the final, we will do 3D again, but it hasn't changed a whole lot. We have added some gables to it. The roof did get a little larger. We tried to break that up a bit so it doesn't just look like this big, long roof. However, we're trying to also maintain some cost restraint here, so we're trying to balance that out as well. Materials would be very residential looking, residential style windows, residential style siding. This is where the building breaks down the hill. Even though this building isn't going to be an addition to the existing building, it's going to move to a new site. The reality of it is the configuration does lend itself to building it. So it does have these meandering roof lines, which gives it a New England feel. It is very challenging architecturally to take a big building such as this and make it look small and try to break up those roof lines. Because the more we break up the roof lines, the more costly the building gets. So we're trying to balance that out. Next, so this would be the north side of the building. Again, it has a lot of pleasing lines to it, so I don't think anyone could argue that it has an overscale wherever this building goes. Okay, next slide. And that's the back. I think we would add a little, make the deck a little bigger, things like that. Okay, so looking at sites, this is the building on the existing site, correct, John?
That is correct, yes.
Yeah, so this is the original design. So if we look at the existing site, this is what the building will look like there. So this has been out there, so we do not believe, from what I've heard, that this is going to be one of the sites that you're going to consider. That's up to you folks. So then this is looking at, this is the site that is, I guess we're going to call it North Avenue
Yeah, this is North Avenue, Route 16.
and Route 16.
Call it North Avenue for the sake, and we'll call it Oakdale Street.
So this area of the site belongs to somebody else. And then this is in conservation. So this, what's outlined in red is really the usable site. And so this is a great site. Obviously, once you start trying to work with it, it presents some challenges like any site does, but that's our job, is to overcome those. So we're going to talk a little bit about what those challenges are, given some of the parameters we were given and some suggestions we have for making this site work a little better. So John, if you could go to that site plan line. So.
All right.
So this is the area that was suggested that we tried to work with in putting the building on the site. And there's a few things that I don't like to do with senior centers. And it gets very narrow up in here. And so what happens is we're trying to do a lot where the site is narrowest. The other thing is that if we use this part of the site, we landlock the rest of the site. And we do not want this becoming access to get to the rest of that site. And I don't know if it's feasible that one day, if there would be access back here off of Route 16 because of conservation land, whatever, but I think this gets very tight by trying to cram this so close to the road.
There is two access points off of Route 16 through the conservation.
There is, okay. However, it does get very, because as a rule of thumb, how many seniors are in the room? Well, I mean, I'm one, but the point I'm getting there. The point is that we don't like to do in and out in the same place. This gets very restrictive for us to move. So I think we really want to try to move this back a bit.
It would be more ideal for this to be the access to that piece anyhow, only because Route 16 is a hill and it's a high-speed zone. So it would require another light. It's on a hill and it would be a nightmare.
So what we were thinking is if this were to go back and go this way, such that there's an access road, so that part of this project actually builds an access road. And then it dead ends, and then it's for the senior center, and whatever happens down there, down the road happens. But this way it would get this back and free this up and allow us to configure the site. There's some things we like to do. So for instance, we really want to have a drop off. We want to be able to have someone show up with somebody, drop them off, and then we always want them circulating on site. But when you have this much traffic, people backing in and out into that, it's a disaster. So there's some site configuration that we'd like to do. So we would suggest if this is the site, the building kind of goes back and to the north of it. and allows that access road through the site.
Is there any limitations from that location? No.
What you've got here, what he's saying here, so like this,
I'd like to put it right in here and let this be the access road and use this.
That whole section was designated for municipal anyways.
it's all, you can do, we can do it, you can, anything in this red zone, even in the treat area,
It's
Is-
municipal, right?
is open to do whatever we'd like.
So to Mike's suggestion and recommendation to make this thing logical, I like his idea of moving it back, because that traffic zone is kind of crazy.
I think the original idea was just to try to stay within, he has that natural, well, not natural, but a built stone wall. This area here is, for sure, you can utilize all this. This is kind of behind my old house right here.
Yeah,
I mean, the abutters might appreciate it being pushed back, like.
In the
leaving
field more.
vegetation, yeah, there.
the other thing, Lonnie, if you could go ahead to the site plan that we have again. So the other thing that would allow you is that as people pull out, they do all the maneuvering on site, it allows them to stack here for pulling out onto North Avenue either way. So, and they're not stacked into the parking.
Sure.
Okay. So I think, and we can then get in and out,
You can do it in and out.
Better.
Yeah,
designated in and out onto the site, maneuvering on the site.
much better.
Okay.
Like, we used to have, area for future expansion up to the upper left there. You
Yeah.
see anything pushing it back to the left a little
What I
bit.
want to do is push this back and go up there.
And again, to Elena's point, that maybe even past this vegetative area, this is all grown in here.
Yeah.
And behind my house wasn't, and I maintained it with you.
Yeah.
But this here all grew in, even if we came out into the field section, just to keep that buffer.
That's gonna be a buffer. That'd be great.
That's actually better.
It gets us in even a little deeper.
Lonnie, is the stone wall just here?
Yep.
Or does it continue?
Nope, there's nothing here. It goes here and then just turns up in this vegetative area. So opening up the stone, there's an opening in the stone wall right there.
Yeah,
So you could open it up, we could open it up a little bit more and try to maintain as much of it as we can, just because it's pretty nice. It's actually a decent wall
Mhm.
that you could get in here and then start your traffic flow, like you said.
Yeah.
Even if we built even if there was funding that we could, in the parking lot, we could make this even a better parking area for the traffic to the school.
so does that act as overflow parking for the school?
Mhm.
So we could actually plan that in there, right? And make that, show that.
This is, yeah.
It could just be a field, but again, have it so the roadway hugs this side.
That.
So the roadway hugs this, and this could be parking in there, or vice versa.
And we're setting up access to the lower half if we ever want to do something with it.
Correct.
And I think that to do anything in landlocked, that even though there is access off 16, that, as you said, that's never going to be ideal access to this site. This would be the ideal access.
Correct. It's tough. Because then the site, that even your view, because you would have to take the walls that are here. You would have to take them down because the sight line is horrible, or put another light, which the grade is so steep.
You would actually struggle with DOT.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not DOT.
The only good part, see, and you couldn't even do it with it because the entrance isn't down here.
Yeah,
The whole thing was to I think the two entrances that were left were right here.
Yeah.
1 and 1, so not ideal.
not ideal. No.
Okay.
Okay, so that's that site. So if you could go ahead for us here, Lonnie. One more. Now we're looking at, we'll call this Hopedale Street, right? So this site has some unique features to it. We're gonna look at coming in off of Hopedale Street though, not off of North Avenue. There is a natural slope or drop off in here, so we're gonna try to use that to our advantage as well. The interesting thing is that because this site is almost 1,000 feet long, it allows us to really kind of hug up here and really not touch that site, part of the site that much. So Lonnie, if you go to the next slide. Yep. right there. So. Definitely don't want to show that yet. So here you can see, this is the ideal site. Where you've got, and it wouldn't be in and out, it's in one and out the other, right? So I want to come in this one, circulate through, drop off, and then come over here and then park, and then it'll go back. So you're always circulating on site and you're trying to stay away from that drop off area.
What's the approximate distance from the corner of the street to the first entrance?
I think we're about 60 feet.
Yeah, 60 foot, yeah, at least, yeah.
And we could, that could shift down even,
And that's exit though, so.
or so we might have this as entrance and let exit be there, so then you can stack, in 80 or 100 feet, you're stacking 4 or 5 cars.
So you're making both of them entries and exits?
No.
Because I'm looking at the arrows.
Yeah, no, that's something we wouldn't do. That was an error.
Okay,
But we like to get entrance and exit separate.
yeah,
This site is freer. This is what we would actually take this site, similar plan, and put it down on the other site. Manipulate that site into a similar, turn it around.
Yeah.
Yeah, and and this could be our access road.
Yes.
Right? It would really be nice down there. Even if that ever just became a park with a parking area at the end of the road, it just creates some free space. So, again, the plan is similar here. We move the entrance to one side and we're planning to work for this. Either site works. I mean, I think it's really going to be up to you folks. This one, I think, probably starting to get off the hill a little bit though, and I think we have to look at that a bit. There's that natural slope that we're gonna want to use.
I was just pulled in there. It's pretty deep. They, when they leveled it for the pad and for the parking, it's just been left, so it's even a little bit more aggressive right now.
Right.
But you can see where all the piping is coming in, where it wouldn't need much to get it back to that natural. Open slope, I mean,
So this site works too. So then we look at what is this all gonna cost? So we've done I've done a worst case, we're gonna and a better case. What's that?
You're gonna share this, we're not taking notes.
Yeah, we're gonna share this. So this is scenario A. We have about 12,800 square feet. We have what we call 1 story of new construction, although it's all new construction. We're getting the basement as part of that new construction. And then what we're doing is calling this lower level new construction, and it's at a lower rate. And then we have the detached garage. And so just the building construction of those 3 pieces is about $6.6 million. So, and we're using real costs for our senior center that was done. We interpolated it that senior center is probably a little more finely appointed than you might want. Design contingency and pricing, we're at an really early phase, so we always put that in there. We're at about 7.5. Cost of construction, just, in 12 months, what is it? It takes about 12 months to do it. That's what it's going to cost in additional construction costs. We have bonds, insurance, construction companies, profit. So we're at about 8.8 million on this one. Things that we have to put in are construction contingencies, architecture and engineering fees, an OPM. We'll need some land surveying and that piece of it. Some third-party testing that's required, commissioning of systems, utilities, and furniture, fixtures, and equipment. So this is at about $9.9 million.
Where do we sign?
So looking at this and saying, okay, that's the worst case. We're gonna be a little aggressive and be a little sharpen our pencils a bit. So looking at some interpolated costs and how do we maybe get this down a bit. The key here is that you've got to do a septic and a well. And septic is not cheap for a building like this. And putting in a public well that is a public water supply requires some stuff too. And there's a lot of site work on all the sites. So site work is probably a little conservative there. Again, we're going to get a real estimate by a professional estimator, but I'm guessing at about $2 million in site work. So again, with being a little aggressive in our square foot numbers here. Coming down, everything comes down a bit more based on percentages, and this comes in at about, total about 9.7 million. So not a huge savings. I mean, this building is gonna be about a nine, but with all in, about a $9 million project. And where we started in 2018, those numbers are up a third of what they were in 2018. And the building is bigger.
I mean, given the difference in price, it's not, when you look at that difference at this amount,
It's negligible, right?
we're not, what we're gonna sacrifice is more than that.
Yeah.
I don't wanna call it small.
I'm just showing you the numbers. And I think it could be in the middle here. I don't know what the number is gonna be. It's gonna be somewhere between this one and the other one.
Yeah.
And how all these things get refined out is, an estimator is gonna do, I'm basing it purely on square foot costs and numbers I'm dealing with every day, but I'm not applying it to this project the way a true estimator is gonna do that, which we're doing as part of this exercise. Once you choose a site, once we refine the building, it goes to be estimated.
Question, you're talking about you're talking about doing the site work yourself? Like the well and the septic, you're gonna,
That's part of this project.
is there any way we could have somebody local give us a bid on it? That might be lower or? Very construction,
This is all prevailing wages.
So,
that's what it is.
Yeah.
So how it's gonna go, right? These guys are helping with the design and the estimate price. They're gonna put it, it's gonna go out to bid, whether you're doing, it. The whole project is gonna be put together by these guys. It's gonna go out to bid. A contractor is gonna get it. The contractor is gonna then get the pricing on the individual, the individual subcontractors that are gonna come in and do the work. So, when you say, can you get somebody that can do it local? Well, you can, but there's still gonna be numbers there. They might come in a little bit lower because they're a one-man operation or something that might do the site work, but it's. Yes, that's
The general contract's not gonna take that.
Right, so
For that type of project.
right, so the thing is, this is what we wanted. One of the biggest things that we wanted to get away from was, hey, that community barn raising idea that we've always done. And I'm not saying that it's a bad idea. It doesn't end up with what we're looking at here. If we're gonna do it that way, then we don't need these guys, because we're just gonna have somebody drop some plans. We're gonna get the.
You could build it from this, right? If you,
What's that?
you can build it from what we have here.
You're right, exactly. So, again, again, the contract is gonna be wanting to find people that are contractors that are gonna pay prevailing wage, so they're not, and we're not in the newspaper because Acme Excavating didn't pay their guys prevailing wage on the
I'm
job.
just thinking,
Yeah.
somebody started some site work up there. Someone did some stuff on it.
There, on that Hopedale Street
Yeah.
property, there's actually a significant amount of site work.
Well, that's why I raised it.
Yeah, well, but that's done, so we're getting that, right? I mean,
So-
and some of that would, but there's no septic installed up there or a well dug at this point. That was just more of leveling.
Stuff, no.
I don't know, I don't believe so.
Mm-mm.
I don't believe there is.
I doubt there's a drill well up
yeah,
It's
there
a
is.
$10 million project. That's
That's what we're saying, $10 million.
Yeah, the
nice
taxpayer's
round
gonna
number.
swallow that.
I think they are,
You're right.
as long as we presented right. I mean, and we can,
How much was this building, chief?
6.5.
And that was what
It
year?
was 2018 and 19.
how
So
big
it
is
was
this building?
pre-COVID. And then we said, if we funded it pre-COVID, built at the beginning of COVID, because we ran into all those issues. But we still stayed on the budget. So,
Well, how big is this building?
this building is 9,200 square feet.
And yeah, so you're up there, and did you have to do water and septic here as part of this project?
Septic was already here, septic's down the street. I wonder if it happened to that too, but septic's down the
No.
street.
Well, you'd have to run the pipe. Well, depending
The
on.
school already has it, yeah.
Well, and again, there is, I don't know if the numbers would work right with this. Well, we were looking at putting it there anyhow. We might be able to, if we went to North Ave, if the numbers work in the calculation, we could tap into that system, because it's across the street. We just have to pump it up to,
School shares
pump it up
it.
to the school.
And what's at NISCO?
Septic.
That's our, the leach field's down at the highway line.
Oh,
The holding tanks are here
Yeah.
and at the school.
At Clough, there's tanks and there's a pipe that goes all the way down to the highway line for a huge leaching chamber.
Yeah.
It's pretty
At the original site location, we're gonna tap into that same structure.
So given those numbers, if they worked,
We had an occupancy limit based on that structure of 301 occupancy number. This one came in at 360 something. So I'd be tempted to see what the usage of the rooms are and see if that could be shaved to the 300 number.
given,
Then you could potentially use that system as.
You
planned.
definitely want to put the occupancies on this and look at that exact number, because
Absolutely.
if you can shave it, you want to.
Yeah, we're really gonna need that, because that gives us a benefit of potentially tapping into what we have.
both sites are high groundwater and are gonna be troublesome for the septic, no matter how we look at it.
Are they gonna be troublesome for the lower level,
Not, we mean,
the basement?
to be able to use it?
Yeah, I mean, just, it's a walkout, so I wouldn't think. we
No, because you got the slope, so you
Yeah.
can get all the water out of there with the proper drainage.
Oh,
It's just the water level.
that, just the water level is high.
Step
before
into a
you-
raised system. Yeah. Yeah.
Although I did get. I got mine in the backyard, but no, but I ended up, no, it went like this and then we built it flat out and did it, so it was a racist.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it doesn't look like it is, but it is.
But if you build it on a slope, you could probably get away with that anyways.
Same thing.
Yeah.
You end up making it
The slope goes
a
from,
part of the backyard. It's actually, you flatten it right out and then slope it off. It's not that there's a big hump in the,
But I mean, if you can get on to this community septic, you'd be
Yep.
better off.
to why. You have that guy direct drill it all the way up.
But we have to check capacity, because this is a 300 capacity. I don't know if you're gonna be able to do that.
Well, the only thing was, we were looking at this capacity of 300. When it was gonna be down there.
Did anybody talk to?
I talked to Joel and company, he came in with the number at 301
They're gonna-
capacity limit,
Okay,
based on the fact the police station, Bluff and everybody else was all in that same. Maximum capacity is like 500, since we did it to avoid the public.
There's also, when you calculate capacity for sewage, it's a little bit different, so it'd be leniency for spaces that are not actually occupied, so I mean, it could work in your favor to shave the number of occupants down.
Well, in this case, just the number we saw here, I would try to shave it under 300. Based on the original, we gotta go back and verify, but Joel gave me, when we looked at the site down on Providence, it was a 300 number. And I-
So if you think that would, like, when we're looking at it here, though, let's not base our decision off of.
No.
The septic, because I think that
No, no,
the
no.
cost of the septic is not,
It's not huge.
it's not like we're talking hundreds of thousands.
You're
of
right.
dollars. It's
They should
a $50,000 item.
It's probably $100,000.
Oh, you think really that much
I
up?
mean, it's a lot of capacity. Yes, I mean, there's a lot of capacity in there and the water, so the leach field's big.
Yeah, that must be huge.
It's good size. I mean,
Yeah.
it's septic. So a 3-bedroom septic that we had done, I mean, that's a 3-bedroom septic, which isn't big, was, what was your?
Yeah, just in my mind, it was 25,000 for 3 bedrooms, so that's it.
it's prevailing, that's why I want. It's not.
Yeah.
That's prevailing wages.
Yeah.
So you got.
Yeah.
So, I would, it's 100,000, which still in the big scheme of things is not a lot of money, but again, 100,000 here and 100,000 there, it starts,
Yep.
it's another million before you know it, right?
Does anybody know if there's Hopedale Sewerage coming up Hopedale Street?
That.
There would be no sewage in the septic.
Coming up from Hopedale?
Water to Moore Road, but that's it.
Yeah, there's no sewage. And again, the town way down, it's gonna be way down by, the entrance to Crestview. Yeah, I can check, but I'll
I
check.
I would check, because the capacity of the Hopedale Sewer Treatment Plant,
They'd love it.
that's what they're actually looking for. They had a big upgrade a few years back. And they're not using anywhere near the capacity that they upgraded.
Mhm.
But what would the cost be to take?
And I know that firsthand, because I did.
Well, I mean, if it is close, not much. Maybe,
but running running an 8-inch
even if it was $100,000 to run the pipe down the hill to it,
is cheaper than
then you never have to touch it
I
again.
was gonna say, then you don't have the maintenance headache.
go like this. Couple manholes.
Your problem, their problem would be their.
Well,
You
not
don't even need a pump, it's downhill.
right. It's basically
Does it go back up?
maintenance free.
Yeah.
Does go back up.
It's down
That's a good suggestion.
to grass property.
Mike,
Well, there's the rivers.
do you remember like with the water and sewer study? I mean, they like, there had been talks with Hopedale of hooking into their sewer treatment, but they were interested in more water. I guess Hopedale needs more water, so that's part of why Mendon has been looking for an additional like public water source was.
Pump it over to them.
The other piece of the septic problem in Hopedale is there's somewhere there's breaks in their pipes. So when the storm surges come,
Yeah.
it infiltrates the sewer plant and then it overwhelms the plant with, but it's drain water. So they were looking to have, one of the things that was talked about was, okay, do we help fund fix the pipes if we can then tap into the system? Was kind of like the buy-in, right? Because the system sitting still right now today is, like you said, nowhere near capacity and actually probably doesn't even function 100% that it should. But with that overflow of the water was their reason why they can't allow anybody to jump on it now because that throws their numbers off when the storm surge. At least that's what.
Called combined sewer overflow.
Oh, is that what it's called?
Yes, it is. Happens in a lot of places. So, I mean, I think the really where we're at is, you know, we need a site. You know, we need a site selection so we can finalize this, get a package together and get it to estimating. And tell you really what it's gonna cost.
So the number that you're looking at, you're estimating approximately the same for either of the sites, the Hopedale or the North Avenue.
It's
But it-
actually not based on site. It's just looking at a
Right.
lower cost of building. It actually ends up in the end coming out very close.
Okay, so I guess one question I had is with the North Avenue property, if it's pushed back, how much will that additional access road cost to the overall project?
You know, I think it's negligible, but
Okay.
to put it up close, it doesn't really work.
Right, no, I'm just to put it in here, like how much, I don't know what the scale is.
I'd say
Yeah.
40 grand.
Okay, that's, yeah, on
40
the,
or
on
50.
on this, yeah, it's.
And it could be built as a driveway. for
Right.
now, And then if the town, anything ever happened more down there, the town could upgrade that to a road with
Right,
sidewalks.
okay, great.
A fraction of a percent of the project.
Maybe we could get some CPA money, put sidewalks in there for the seniors.
What do
So
you two
that's the
think about
good
the
news we
price?
have for today.
The board members, what do you think about the price?
It's what it is.
Yeah,
So,
Yeah.
I mean,
it'll be
it's quite a bit
really
more than
interesting.
Numbers have been floated up until now.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're-
it'd be interesting to see, like, with your conversations with Jody, like, when we have the debt exclusions coming off, like, what
I
the
would-
impact is.
That's, I mean, this is,
Is bigger,
This is
Yeah.
huge.
yeah.
yeah, there's nothing coming off that's gonna negate.
So I guess,
Yeah.
right, the question will be like, how much is, like, what will be the direct impact on the taxpayers? Because I think
That's what I talked to her about today. It's just
Yeah.
sort of set up some frank bands to understand, based on certain interest rate scenarios, what it would come down to the average taxpayer, kind of like we did with the tax rate classification hearing.
Right,
Mhm.
So we can, with this, we can start grabbing scenarios.
Our rates were much better back then. Funding rate was zero.
Yeah,
It helped out.
Mhm.
yeah.
That's true, but right now the town's making, use the word loosely, making more money than we did back then. And we just had a special town meeting where we dabbled around with $700,000 in excess funds.
Nope, no, I agree. No, I'm just saying the rates are gonna be much different right now.
That was 2 years of free cash, last year's free cash. I hear you. We have
I'm
some
just saying.
opportunity.
Right. And
To
the
the
town is
setback
growing.
costs. Yeah,
And I think whatever estimate you're getting now will probably be, even when rates will be better, I think the Fed's gonna change, you know, mid 2024, so.
Yeah.
It'll start turning day to day.
Yeah, there's an election.
and I mean, there are things, as far as that goes, I mean, we can take initial
Refinance later.
refinance, stuff like that.
So if it's a PD, we refinance everything once because it was so low. I think we did a huge bond. So we actually saved some money for the rest of the town because we had such a big amount to refinance.
So again, I'm going back to the board crew here. And knowing what you're faced with is probably better than we are. And knowing this now, does this have an, you know, we all have different opinions.
I think this actually is, you gotta do a good job of selling this.
No question.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think this is, we get to double digits, tens of millions versus single millions. So might just mentally, people have a harder time, which is why I want to take it down to the impact of the average household tax bill, so they understand the old, you know, override, it's a cup of coffee type of thing. You want to bring that number down and make it small. And you absolutely want to get this in front of people this year because you've got other debt coming at us, certainly next year, and
Yeah, I think,
both from BBT and from,
yeah, I think timing is now, I think we all agree with that. If we're gonna do this, we need to do it this year. So it sounds like we need to move that meeting with Jody and you guys need to continue to do some scenarios with this kind of money to see what the impacts.
yeah, man, I guess what I'd suggest is take this back and talking to Jody today was in some, you know, get some work done, bring it back to this and review kind of what the options start to look like.
Yeah,
And I'd probably say, given the budget season starting, I would ask this group when you understand what finance starts feeling.
Our goal was to have you the estimate. So when did we commit to have that estimate? The professionally prepared estimate.
February 1.
So you'll have.
Well, let me ask, is everybody happy with the present design that was presented here? Before we start thinking about,
10 million?
I guess,
I've got a couple questions left on it, put it back, throw it back up on the screen.
Sure.
Which bill, which floor?
Which floor plans?
how does this compare to the
Go back right there.
2018 plan? Is this this is bigger? Is that
So
no?
No.
Okay,
That's basically,
That we had designed initially.
Yeah.
Would be 14 or 15.
okay, wow.
His partner had designed something that would go like in Wellesley.
Right. Right.
It was how much then?
And 9 million.
It was 9 million then,
And-
so that would be about 14 or 15.
But this scaled, wasn't there a scaled down one?
Yes.
Yes, we added just a
Okay.
few, we added a,
Well, it was without the basement. We pulled out.
right, the basement was gonna be unfinished.
Originally it was gonna be finished and then we decided to not finish.
And so this size is the scaled down size from the previous. Okay.
It is.
I think the difference is the unfinished basement. And also we moved the van out of the building because you get extra costs for putting gasoline vehicles underneath the public building, so it's cheaper to move it into its own garage than to make it part of it.
detached garage, absolutely.
Mhm.
So that's the other kind of changes that came.
Have you had some questions on that?
Well, I just. When you cross down all up like that, why did you do that?
So, I mean, I think part of what that is that I'm trying to have a little bit of variation in my roof line without this having just one big roof over it, right? So it allows me to get some breaks and if I had this as one big box, it's harder to get some variation in roof line. And so it does cost a little bit more to do that.
Costs a lot more with the
Well,
valleys that you.
I mean, doing this for 40 years, right? It does cost a little bit more. It may be worth it in the end to square that off. It doesn't really buy us a whole lot, but it might. Again, what's going to happen with this is that you're gonna go get this funded. This is gonna go through a complete design process. When the whole project is funded by either us or another architectural firm. And there'll be a time to revisit some of that stuff, okay? But yes, we could square that off. Absolutely.
And down below, you've got some jogs there. Every jog from the concrete wall coming up, first floor, second floor, is extra
I
money.
understand that's not necessarily true, sir. The reality of it is, if I have that long concrete wall, now I have to put piers in it. This is also a lot of frame wall. So it's not necessarily true. I mean, so there is and the efficiency we're talking on a $9 million building is pennies on the dollar to do that. Do this every day.
So do
I don't, so.
That's why with,
And I'm not, I don't necessarily think this town wants a square.
Well, the other thing too, Mike, is when we looked at that, some of those square boxes became storage. Because one of the issues we had was when you take these rooms and reconfigure them, where do you put your tables, your chairs and all those other things? And some of the modifications we just made a couple of weeks ago, because you have this room, but you have to reconfigure it.
And one thing I'd say though, to quote somebody I've worked with many, many years, is we need the facts. So as much as you say it's a small difference, somebody says it's a large difference. Let's be sure we understand.
I can show someone a square building and say, price it, show them this and say.
Yeah, I just think because that would be the question that comes out,
It does.
you know, like, does it have to?
But again, if you have one of a room full of architects, great. Again, you've hired somebody, you've got somebody here. And
No. And I'm just saying is people answering questions like myself need to be able to understand what the difference is, because somebody who's in the trade is gonna stand up and potentially ask the question.
So
Right?
some of this, and if I can, some of this is also this layout is based off of the existing structure.
Exactly.
So there was some factor taken into here. This is the original senior center,
Yes.
essentially in the front, right? This is the door you come in now.
Yeah.
They changed the door to this side.
But when I make a long concrete wall like that, I have to put piers in it. And so suddenly that adds cost to it. So there's all that trade-off. I mean.
As long as we can show what it is or what it's not
Mhm.
in
And if,
numbers or some estimate, right? That's important. The thing that jumps out at me, and Amy, gets back to, we need to prepare. We have to stop saying what we can't do today. You need to start saying what you plan to do tomorrow, because the one thing that jumps out at me is that is so much space. I say to myself, somebody's gonna look at that and say, why do I need 2 floors?
Yeah.
You can't just get by with the top floor. Wouldn't that cut my cost in half? There will be those types of
Oh, yeah.
questions. So
part of the explanation is, in reality.
Right.
This building will serve Mendon.
Yep.
For 50,
And
60,
this
maybe
is,
75
this
years.
is how we plan to do. These will be our offering if we have that.
You also need to talk about what you can't do today from your limitations of your current building.
Yeah.
Like, we have to turn people away. We can't provide this service. That's equally as important as what you want to do.
That story's been out there.
Right. Because that's
I
what.
think you gotta turn it now, because you're gonna look at this and say, okay, why do I need 2 huge rooms? You got that big room with the tables, you can put the tables out, you can split it. Why do you need another huge room in the per? Yeah, I'm just telling you, that's gonna be the people are gonna look to try to drive down cost.
And as we go through this, as we go through this.
They don't finish the bottom.
Programming, what's
But
going to happen
I
in
think-
those spaces is what's key to answering that question.
Right, but so we need to know. We need to be mindful, document exactly what are the types of programs we're going to bring to seniors. And if we don't have that building, we will not do these things, right?
That's from,
Yeah, it's more of just the apply.
you need that, because that's going to be part of this document.
And I think we had a meeting, I don't know, a month or 2 ago, talking about the basement. I think I joked around, but saying, hey, throw a gym in there, because you'll be able to combine fire, police, public safety. I think you need to, for $10 million, that downstairs, you're gonna have to focus, I think, too, that it's gonna be community.
Yeah.
Just like we did focus with this, like why we're using this room right now.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to bring some aspect of justifying the downstairs and saying, we're gonna bring in multi-generational families here. Not only are the seniors gonna go upstairs and have their functions in there, but their grandkids can come, their kids can come. Something to draw in and bring in
They do come.
multi-generational, but a purpose for it. So I know
Yes.
we have the lunches, but if there's, I'm just trying to think of some type of, call that a community room. That's,
The scouts come, the lions
yep,
come.
but that's what you're gonna have to push, and that's what you really have to justify and explain and get out there, that it's not just.
I will say a lot of younger people in this town know that because they're there. They're Sundays, they're Mondays.
Is designed around that so that they can access
Yeah.
outside,
Yeah.
from outside, so the rest of the building isn't trashed by people getting into the rest of the building. They're using this, they have access from outside, so it's the Boy Scouts, the Lions and all that have access to it.
What's the overall length and width?
Of the building itself,
John,
of the building itself, or just the,
Yeah, the footprint.
oh, the footprint, yeah, it's,
How wide is it? How wide is it?
it's, I believe it's 55 by 115.
Strikes me that another selling point is just comparing. So if a similar size proposal a few years ago was with, did you say like 60%? So Mendon is growing, so if we kick this down the road to like another 3 or 4 years, what will the cost be then? So like Mendon's gonna need this space even more in 5 years, and what will this cost in 5 years?
I think that's something you folks have to look at, is what we gave you, which was a bigger, more
Well, 6 million.
glamorous building.
You just said 14.
I think it'd be 14 or 15 million today.
You might want to use the police department as an example. 25 years, we tried to build a station, it went from $1.5 million to 3 million to 6.5, 20-year period. You know,
And this is-
and each time it decreased. The $1.5 million building was bigger than the 6.5 we have now.
And that's, and I don't, it's hard to use the argument that if we keep putting this off, because if people feel like you're beating them over the head. So you have to have those facts.
Yes.
That here is an example that we went through in this town. And we got less building for $6.5 million than we would have for $1 million. And what period was that?
It was from 2002 to 19 when we got it.
Yeah.
18.
The first plan, Amy, I was gonna ask you, the first plan that we had, that was like 9 million,
Mhm.
and that was with your partner with
It
that.
was me and my partner. Yeah.
And that was much bigger than this, right?
It was bigger and it was a more elaborate building. It was
14 or 15.
It was 15,000.
One thing I had asked for, and I can't see what the designations are. I want a dedicated room for exercise, not just that second half of the, something that's one of the things we're running into now. Exercise is just so important and we should have it. So
I think these rooms
that's
here,
16 by what?
16 by 22.
It's not that big.
But hang on a second, we're looking at it here, this is a concept.
Yeah.
These rooms can be built when
You change it.
when
like-
the other architect,
Yeah,
the
we
second
can-
level of the architect, like you said, is where we're really going to
Yeah.
then get in the nitty gritty. This is a,
After
can-
this goes through that whole
you can take
process,
these-
we're gonna go through these programming again and say, okay, are these rooms really big enough? We can't make the building bigger at that point because we have a dollar amount that's been approved. But we can work within the confines.
And we did that with the police station, Mike and I we worked on, it was, what we designed isn't what's here. This was gonna be garage space in the original design, and we changed it all around afterwards. Because it didn't make sense to drive in off the street here.
Yeah, that's true.
don't forget, you could put these two rooms together
That's what I'm thinking.
and make it the gym and move the
Yeah,
computer, whatever. These are just, these are ideas for what.
Right.
They're kind of getting, they're like placeholders for space.
That large multi-room to the right there on this level, does it also have the wall to divide it? There's a top.
It doesn't show it, but we can.
I think that I would definitely. do.
I think that room should be divided day to day.
There should be a divider here. And a
Yes.
divider here. Two dividers, that way you can still pass through here.
That's interesting.
I just want to make it as functional as
We
possible.
have to, but that's an, yeah, again, that comes down to that's an egress and then, so we have to be careful. Dividers are not fireproof, right? So, but again, yeah, good,
Oh, I see what you're saying.
good point though. That room should be 2 rooms. So day to day, and
With
then,
access.
and then it gets opened up when there's a meeting that somebody else, like the Lions or the Boy Scouts are using it once.
The friends.
The
That's what they're saying.
Yeah, because to like Dada's point, like, you're looking at 2 big rooms, but now if you divide it there, it's not 2 big rooms anymore. We're not gonna say you have 2 huge rooms.
Based upon town meeting attendance, we can run our town meetings.
Yes.
Right.
That's what I was thinking, rather than going up to Misco.
Well, we have to wire it so we can have both top and bottom floors and just kind of set it up so we can have the audio and the.
Absolutely. Jump the
I
price. All
gotta approve the audio.
right, so I suggest that we pick a spot.
I want to, before we do, I'd like to hear from Alana about what she talked to the lawyer.
So that's actually what I was gonna say.
Oh.
We're actually meeting with her tomorrow. So I sent some initial questions by email and the response was kind of quick, like, don't do it. Like, you don't want to mess with the conservation restriction, but we're asking for like some follow-up to go through more details. But what she did say is to change a conservation restriction and to vote in the legislature. But we're gonna see if we can get more, like, much more fine-grained detail about that. So we have a meeting with her set up tomorrow.
And we're gonna get writing, so.
Yeah,
there's not
we're
gonna be
gonna-
a question about who said what, because
Right.
listen,
That's the
black
facts.
and white, this is the process, whatever your recommendations are, what have you.
Because if we do go that route, she'll be involved. She'll be the one working through it. So, yeah.
So it sounds like that, which was a big open item we had. We don't have the answer. to
Right.
it yet.
So, yeah, her quick answer was just don't do it. But, yeah, anyhow, we're gonna get more details.
So I would say if we were trying to remove a conservation restriction, then I would say, yeah, don't do it, because it's probably not gonna pass. But when we're asking to modify the size of a
Right.
building within the restriction.
Right, well, that's
for
why-
the senior
that's-
center.
Yeah, we're trying to get
We
more.
felt that was lost in the translation.
Right, so, because it was like, I'm like, yeah, so there was a bit of back and forth, but like, it seemed like an actual conversation where we're looking at the same document.
What is the size of the building that's approved in there now?
Not that big.
It's like 24
Yeah.
square feet.
It was a barn. Essentially, it was a
The
barn.
Footprint here is only 64, so it's not a huge reach.
But I think also it says it's to be used for a specific purpose, which is for the agricultural center.
I think I also want to look at like the wording when they're talking about the grantor and the grantee and things like that. Honestly, Concom has a role in this in terms of approving some of this stuff. So it legislature, yes, and that might just be a timing thing if in fact all the appropriate parties in the CR that are listed agree to it.
Right.
I'm guessing it could go through, but it's a timing thing. So in terms of picking a site, I guess, Phil, we talked about, I'd recommend maybe go forward with sort of scenarios saying, take CR, if CR is not an issue, what would the site be? If a 2-year delay to get the CR lifted, put that timing in there, what would the site be, right?
Right.
You could go through different scenarios now,
Yeah.
and then when we get the answers, you can kind of figure out.
And once we got a few answers, we could say it's big call there, big call there.
We can take all the factors and figure it out now and then get the answers and.
So right now, at this time, year over year, it's about an 8% escalation is what they figure on pricing. What I'm seeing from GCs and CM. So that's something to consider when, if you look at a 2-year process.
1.6.
I don't think we'll be able to do that because there's gonna be other people that are gonna be looking for money. We can't lose our window of opportunity, but you said you go on vacation around the 22nd of December. And
We
so
leave-
you would give us up till that date.
Oh, yeah.
Peg, I agree, give them up to that date. But I want to say right before their Christmas, here's our final decision.
Well,
And
we
I
have
think
all
we
of
have to-
January to work on that. I mean, we're gonna get,
I
this.
just want to make sure we
We
don't.
should really hold our feet to the fire and stuff.
Yeah, yeah. And I appreciate,
Trying to be nice,
Yeah.
but I get it.
and I appreciate that.
Well, if we pick a site by the next meeting, then
I think we're fine.
I think we're fine. It's if we have the answers.
Yeah, we'll get,
If it's,
we'll get it in writing, we'll get it in details. We just
Right,
need
if
to
it was-
like go step by step
Because
through.
really, it's a timing issue.
if it's a year's time frame, then yeah, it makes sense that you can wait. We're gonna be in that window anyway, or that's what it's gonna take after approval, then it's fine. But if it doesn't, then we just kick it and say, do the North Ave one. I mean, it's Route 16.
I think that's
Could
what.
you go for funding though, without having exact, exact site to sell to the voters? Why could you go the same?
If the cost is the same, we
Yeah,
can get
that's
approval
better.
to finance. We're not actually gonna go finance. We could even use probably seed money from either like stabilization or CapEx, things like that, if we need to get things underway. You know what I mean?
Which we will.
So you've got some bandwidth, understanding the timeline to remove the CR, in my mind.
Yeah.
So I just don't know what the timing is from when things start to when things really have to
Sure.
be done. That's where I'll look for you and you to say, we really need.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a matter of if the timing starts, you know, you then just start asking for it now. Because it's not the conservation, sorry, the restriction isn't necessarily. It's their restriction, the people that own it. Conservation has a way in, but if it's a matter of getting the town votes done to say, hey, everybody agrees that we want to do this. On the town side, get the votes in, who owns the restriction? Is it reservation trustees or is it just the conservation commission?
Recommended conservation.
So then if that's the thing, then you kick it up to the legislature and then start yelling at them to get it done.
I think our biggest holdback is gonna be the legislative.
I think it's gonna, yeah,
What's that?
The legislative calendar.
right.
That's my guess. Just getting a bill out there in and reviewed. It's probably not, I mean, I think the deadline, we were talking about something else and like for the aggregation,
Oh, right.
you know, July is like their last day. And it all starts over, you know
So
what I
we
mean?
will ask the town council's opinion or expectation about like similar cases and how long they took. So like, I mean, I think it's worth finding out. Yeah, as much detail as we can, what is, you know, even assuming that it could go through without a problem, it's still gonna take time and we just need to know how much time it is.
And we quickly need to get a sponsor, probably to go back to Senator Fatman and, you know, and just push our representatives.
Oh, yeah, it's, I think both, yeah, the House and the Senate.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we go
but yeah,
both of them
yeah,
side,
totally.
push it up.
Especially if no one's against it in town, you know, especially if they're in agreement.
Now, from a scenario one, scenario two, to your earlier thought, if we're looking at a delay, my opinion would be that could be catastrophic for a couple reasons. Increased cost. And also the rising tide of other projects coming into the town. So if we don't get a CR, going back to your scenario, if we have a 2-year delay, you know, what's this committee think about in regards to North Avenue 16?
But I have to say that the vote is already for North Avenue 16. Other than maybe some new information that came about that we got recently, but the vote is already,
Well,
this vote was already for North Avenue.
that was the information we pulled. We've had some emotion behind it now. That was from our individual thoughts. We were gonna put it in the formal comment. That's really.
Because usually when you remove one of the options, you really should be taking another vote.
Of course.
I think that's the right thing to do. And, you know, I may be wrong about this.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
But I don't think we're gonna get some private funding for the corner of 16 and North Avenue.
No,
I don't think we'll get it.
definitely not.
I
But,
think we would probably get some with the other site.
which is true, but not right away.
But,
It's down the road.
but down the
Well,
road,
that's what I was told.
hey, down the road is interesting. I've changed my will a couple times.
I don't know. I thought there was a little more enthusiasm for it.
I can't go to the bank on that. I'm sorry.
It's in the will. That's all I know.
I,
So that means something.
No, I
Unless you,
Wills can change.
oh, I'm just saying what I was told,
know.
unless you heard something different.
So really, what I'm hearing though is CR and the timeline to get that altered is really the primary
that's really,
decision point, right, criteria between these two sites.
for us to discuss it again and make a vote. Because there's still a big, the center of town, potential expansion of Route 16. You know, that with the highway department. Having sidewalks up here around town, being part of the extension of whatever's gonna happen behind the miniature golf course. that makes sense to have it of the, more of the center of the town versus the outskirts. And then there's people who think it's better out there because it's more convenient. And these,
So to Peg's point, right, we've taken the original site in Morrison Drive off the.
yes,
So why don't you just do a round of voting now between the two sites, all things being equal, take, assume the CR is not there. What's the preferable site to start? And then if,
Yeah, well, that's fine.
you know, and,
It's like-
but then one of the things would be, do we all agree that that CR needs to be altered within 12 months, or at a minimum, we know we can get it done by, we need to get our vote in May. This town meeting,
yes.
right?
But the costs are the same, like you say, the costs are the same,
Yeah, I mean.
because
they're
we're looking for the
fairly-
money. We're
Yeah.
looking for the money.
I just, I'm rounding up to 10 million.
Yes, yes, right.
Yeah.
I thought
makes
you
the
didn't
math-
want double digits.
It makes
9999.
9.999.
And a cup of coffee.
Yes.
Yes, I mean, you want to just do a hand vote for,
Yeah, North Avenue, the other, just all things equal.
North Avenue 60? Raise your hand. I count 3, 4. And North Avenue, Hopedale Street. 5.
Okay. Now, question going back to the votes and the committee, of the committee members, let's do that same exercise, because that's where it's gonna come down.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that's why I didn't vote. I'm an alternate. So really,
So who's on the committee?
Yeah.
So it was,
Some on the committee. So,
so it was 3-3, 4-3. North Avenue 60. Sorry.
we only have 7 of us.
There's only
Are we
seven.
missing someone?
Committee is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Mark Bocchino, Lonnie, Dave Kersey, Mike Avendalia, me. I got it. I only down as, oh, okay.
we didn't feel it was right that the select board should have 2 votes, so I'm an alternate.
You didn't?
I just thought.
Apparently not. I don't know. I didn't make the rules.
Well, we can establish that, vote on how the rules, but I think I motioned that we only have the committee vote on the selection of the location.
Only the committee can vote on this.
That's what I think, but there was a question, so. If we want to put that to a vote, we can do that. I mean, the committee only, yes, it's a logical thing.
So where does that leave us? I'm
Where does it leave?
So Route 16 and North Avenue.
So we had 3. 2, 3, we no votes. That's
So-
a close vote.
Take the vote again. So we're guessing now.
That's 4.
Okay.
Route 16 and North Ave,
Committee members only.
Committee members, Route 16, North.
4. Route 16 and Hopedale Street, sorry, Hopedale Street and North Ave. There's 3, so it's 4-3.
So now we know.
So
But we still
Yeah.
all through and we
Good
will
point, Beth.
get those questions answered.
And yeah, I'm just curious. We wanted you to be here for this discussion. So you don't have any strong opinions either way for either side? That would sway a vote?
I really don't. No, I really don't. I think, that's where our job is to do whatever you want to do. And I don't see anything on either site that is a gotcha. You're really gonna incur a lot of cost here. I don't see that with either one.
all right, so if there's no, if nobody's vote is swayed by whatever discussion we're gonna spend money on town council for, why are we gonna go through that?
Why are we
Well, we-
spending money on town council? Don't we already pay for it?
Conservation
We-
restriction. They're by the app.
It's a quick call. I think it's probably good to kind of clarify
I think so.
CRs.
I mean,
It comes up a lot, even if.
Right, and it's like,
agree.
if it comes up down the line, like, why didn't we use that? We still want to have these answers. And I don't think it's,
But that's not why we used, that's not why we didn't use it. We voted before we even knew the answer. But if we're already 4-3 with not knowing the answer,
right.
then what's the point? Like, I mean, I'd love to know the answer.
Yes,
I think that there is going to be some money, and I don't think it's down the road.
Okay, which is fine, but what are we basing that on?
No, I'm just saying, I'm basing it, trying to get it down from 9 million. I'm not saying someone's gonna give a bill.
I could be swayed, but there has to be, I've said it all along, there has to be money on the table for me to be swayed. I have to know about the conservation restriction and what kind of money's on the
There's
table.
no-
But we're treating it as if there's no money right now and conservation's up in the air.
There is money.
You're getting it from.
We don't know the amount,
We don't know.
and it's not till later.
But that doesn't help us. Because once we do the override for the amount that we're spending, we're locked. It doesn't matter. That extra money can be thrown away. It doesn't mean anything to getting this building built.
Well, I mean, we would have to borrow as much as we thought, I mean, we get authorized to borrow a certain amount, doesn't mean we borrow.
Listen,
This would be money, you know.
But we have to
The
do the project, we'll kick it off.
the money is in a will.
Who told you that? Tell me who told you that.
The person I've been talking to,
And who's that?
Gary Smith.
And I've been talking to John Gannon.
Well, then, okay. Then what's the number then?
I don't have a number.
See, that's one of the same boat then.
I'm just telling you, no, not in the same boat.
Okay.
Because John told me if it's on the corner of North Avenue and 16.
Yep.
He's not contributing a dime.
Okay,
Told me that plain out straight.
okay.
He would give money to the other site, and I'm telling you why. It's because he and Gary are friends. It was his land at one point.
Absolutely.
And Shirley Smith, you know, he would like to honor her in some way.
Yeah.
So I'm saying that there is, my understanding from John, talking to him personally
Okay,
at his house,
okay.
was that he would be supportive of the corner of Hopedale Street. And know
Okay.
that, no.
Does that change anybody's vote?
I want the building built.
Yes.
And that number is gonna determine if this building gets built. If there's a number that can be swayed here and take it off,
If someone.
and that could help get this building built, I would vote for whatever that is. But I don't go with, I've had promises before about things, and we've done it with the police station. If there's a number, if there's $1 million number there, and we say we cut this down from 10 to 9, I'm all behind that. Because that's a better chance of this building passing in this town.
But, yeah, there's gotta be committed money. I'm a little concerned about it. Will, I heard you. Lonnie.
It's nothing to do with the will. I'm sorry, maybe Gary Smith has something to do with the will, but John Gannett's has nothing to do with it.
That's fine. I have not talked to John Gannon. I can only
No,
relate.
but Phil is saying that, if there's a will in it, that's a potential for more money. Because I'm sure Gary Smith, because he wanted to give us the land to honor his mother, is probably not interested in giving us money for the corner of 16 and North Avenue. Why would he?
Who?
Gary Smith.
Gary was never giving us any money.
You just told me it was the will. And I said, who have you been talking to? You said, Gary.
Listen. Gary Smith has been talking to Mr. Gannon.
Okay,
All any money that's been discussed is not Gary's money. It's Mr. Gannon's money. What I was told from Gary, I'll read it verbatim.
We need a whiteboard for this.
being recorded, you know.
This isn't appropriate.
Well, when is it appropriate? When do we talk about this? Because if
No,
it's swaying,
we
if it's
can-
swaying a decision.
Yeah.
And we're having backroom conversations about it.
Yeah, we need to get it all under the open, because this is public record, and if people are talking about making donations, I mean, they're the ones who want to make donations, and if you look at like the Webster Police Station, that was built on donations, and it was done with meetings like this, and a family donated the land and built the Webster Police Station for 10 million, and all they wanted was the Webster Police Station named after them. What did the town say? Absolutely, because they donated back to their town. And like I said, I want this building built. So I want the most cost efficient way, and however we can do it, let's get it done. So we need to bring it right.
So let's put it this way. There is definitely $0 if it's on Route 16 in North Ave. There's a possibility that there's money on Hopedale and North Ave.
That's what I've been told.
And a very good possibility, regardless of what it
And
is.
a big sum of money?
Huh?
I don't know. I have
Don't
no
know?
idea. I didn't get into that.
It could be $100,000, it could be $5,
I have no idea.
based upon the person. It would be a significant amount.
Do we now have a reason to talk to town council tomorrow, Lynn?
Yeah, that may be the deciding factor, but at the end of the day, though, unless I see a dollar value committed to the project, I can't honestly change my vote saying, well, somebody promised they're gonna do this.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I said, I say, but
It can sway me, I can say,
They are honorable people.
we're all honorable people.
No, we're not all honorable people, but the Gannets are honorable
I'm
people.
not
And
questioning.
they have done things anonymously, very philanthropic things, anonymously.
I'm not questioning their integrity at all.
Good thing.
but things happen in life that can change in the blink of a second. And if we make promises to the town, we have to uphold that. And if something happens to them, they may have kept their intentions to happen, but now we made promises to the town. And now we're not honorable for doing that.
Yeah, we can,
So we can't make promises based on.
We could contest the rule, we could be tied up in court for years.
Yeah,
So
no offense.
is, out of curiosity, is there, the people you talk to, is there an objection to the other site, or is it just?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
They have he has a strong objection to he said the seniors do not belong there in the corner of 16 and North Avenue. He told me that to my face.
Two other things I'd like to just point out about this is that the Gannett family has done a ton for Mendon. Land, this piece of land was gonna be the
library.
library at one point. Then it was given to Gary and his wife to be the trustees for the
Agricultural.
Thank you. In memory of Shirley, right? The fact of what they've done we may want to even take that into account a little bit and say, hey, look, these people have done so much for this community. They're asking that we put it here and they're going to likely give us some money for it, right? Even if we take the money away from it, that should be a little bit of a selling point. And I'm not trying to sell either one.
No, but
See, as a matter of fact, I kind of like where it's gonna go in the field right now that you've moved it a little bit, but I honestly think that
you needed that, that was good.
the Hopedale Street is a better site. There is the walkability piece, right? But this site is way more peaceful and way more quiet. And it has a better flow even for the entrance and the exit. And you know, you say you don't pick a site, but you pointed out that site was the best site. You said it. You said this is the ideal site.
I think you said the ideal.
I think, so my
And-
opinion is that you need to have this conversation about this. Because I think that is a big, the conservation piece and what it really takes to do that and and understand that. And then really come back and have this discussion, because that could add a year or two to this, that you have to then decide if you want to add that.
Then it's out. I mean, it's out because you couldn't make up the cost in funding.
The other thing is that if it's, if it's worth putting it there because this family has done so much for the town, that's one piece of it. The money piece, you really need to understand what that dollar amount is, and I don't know how you get that.
The other thing to realize,
And when?
if we don't put the senior center there, Shirley Smith agricultural, the original intent would probably be followed through on, so, wouldn't you think?
That's why we're here.
And you got the farmland, well, you
It's
have
been so long.
the farmland and everything that go with it,
And
right?
they really don't want to finish. Was good.
So we're
And
gonna,
you know, I have to thank you because I have sent you some emails and you've been super great.
problem, that's-
No, I know, but you could have said this whack-on keeps sending an email. The truth. Yeah, I know, God, she's calling me again, but,
Calling them.
I had been talking with Annie Parnas, who runs the community garden. I got the impression, probably wrongly, that was two pieces of land. Because I was thinking, why would Gary give her the land to farm, have a community garden, and then offer it to us? It didn't make any sense to me. So that's why I was under the impression that it was two pieces.
Right, see.
Could you clarify that for me?
It's all one piece and you can, that's hard to read, but it's this.
Shirley Smith.
Oh, God, this thing's driving me bananas. Can you see it now?
Yeah, perfect. Little small.
Let me get my spyglass.
There you go.
Okay.
So
Could you
that's the
clarify
Shirley
that
Smith.
for me?
Yeah, it does say the Shirley Smith, something.
Over to the right, it does also.
Agricultural.
And arts,
So
Yeah.
what does it say over to the right? Isn't that also?
That's.
It must just be over in those
Okay.
houses. Unless the
Oh,
land
okay.
goes in there, but no, it doesn't.
Well,
Those,
the conservation restriction is written with 2 sections, so I don't know. Like,
That's one
Yeah.
piece of land.
I think before you make your final decision, you need to know all the facts.
I think so too.
So we'll see.
But I think if there's, and I think money sounds to me as an outsider, that to Lonnie's point, there is the piece where they've done a lot.
Yeah,
they're offering
yes.
this. Consider
They're
that.
absolutely
Because
wonderful people.
honestly, and if they're looking at money, you need to understand what that dollar amount is.
I mean, yeah,
That's harder to get to. Because that's me sitting down with them and having a conversation. Will they, and what is the amount?
You know,
Well, that would be probably the financial arm of this committee.
and then we should, I mean, there's something wrong to have a discussion too, why we each want a site, you know, I mean. Someone might, you know, you might be able to convince me why you want it, you know, you might be able to convince me why you want it, I might be able to do something different. You know, and because we haven't had a discussion like we did before a vote, you
So it
know,
was good to have the discussion tonight.
I mean, I like 16 because of the community avenue that I keep pushing, like, if you want to bring make that a community center / senior center, that's a better spot for it. Because not, I mean, if just the seniors are there, perfect, in the corner, in a quiet space, but if you're trying to attract everybody else for this building,
community.
they want to be around the center.
And you want to build
And
it
then
up.
at the other end of Providence for the center too, though. I mean, I don't think that location necessarily matters. I'm concerned about the location at 16 for the senior safety, to be honest with you. With the school
Absolutely.
there, with the 16 there.
The traffic in that corner going down Route 16 is horrendous. Going out into Bellingham is horrendous. And that intersection is gonna change within 10 years. They're gonna take land, they're gonna widen it. That's gonna be almost like a Route 9. in the
I'll
years to
take-
come there.
And I've had this argument with anybody, and I've done it for 30 years. I'll take low-speed traffic congested over high-speed traffic not congested. People go down North Ave doing 60 miles an hour where they're pulling them over. They go down Hopedale Street doing 45, 50, and we hear from Kevin Meehan's son, we live there, Kevin Meehan. I'll take someone doing 25 at a congested intersection any day over someone doing 60.
You know, I don't know, I think of Hopedale Street and I think, well, if we could tie in to the middle school down there and have lunches brought over to the seniors, you know, that's, we only get do lunches twice a week now.
they don't cook there now,
Who's cooking?
in the high school, and they'll bring them.
Yeah,
Bring it up
so
from the high school?
you're better off a Clough,
I don't think so. That's like first, second and third grade.
but they have a kitchen if
How
you're
much
talking about
applesauce am I gonna eat?
food. They actually have kitchens. Yeah, they actually have a kitchen.
You do?
Yeah, they actually cook it all.
we have similar menus in this.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, it's pizza day or sloppy joes.
Yeah.
We had a package of naps and a coffee.
Totally different.
Well, we are going late on this.
Yeah, that's all right.
Okay, I think we're getting to a point where we have a meeting tomorrow. Rather than go over a 2-week cycle, I'd like to propose we meet again next week on the 3rd.
We could see a way that
How far out of
Gotta be
town
down
are you?
FEMA. Big.
When will we be back?
We can zoom in.
We need to get the full committee.
Middle of the week, yeah.
I gotta get my calendar.
But
I could be an alternate for anybody, you know, take your proxy.
What's your vote?
Yeah, you might trip on the way in.
again, we all have our opinions.
Yes.
But I believe this group of people, whatever decision is made, everybody get behind it.
That's right. Absolutely,
If it's not
absolutely.
I agree.
Mine, you know, to put it bluntly, our side, your side, when the
There's no
decision's
sides.
made,
No. We just
that's
need to
all
like-
done with, and
We're all
we
done.
band together, and we work as a team.
No question about it.
So, again, whatever the decision is, I will back it. Right now, we're asking for opinions.
Yep.
You got my opinion.
I think all opinions here want what's best for the town. It's just our individual
Yes,
opinion.
what's best for
We
the
all want this
seniors.
building and what's best for the town.
Absolutely.
Since I'm probably older than any of you, I don't think so.
You know,
I'd like to see it in a year or two. I don't want to keep fighting for it.
Yeah,
No, I know. We want it done in our lifetime.
You're absolutely right. We gotta do it in our lifetime.
I mean, back to the point in timing then, regardless of money, philanthropy, CR, we need to, whatever we do has to be done this spring.
Right.
We all, that's the overriding. thing.
Yes.
So we
Absolutely.
can have a
Regardless of the
decision
time.
criteria, that decision criteria trumps everything else.
Yes.
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 Yes, it does. Because we,
I agree with that.
It's all on Elena now to get the right answer.
And then your CR has to be done
your friends,
in
that's all.
10 to 12 months.
Well, I think that
most folks.
Yeah,
Because if you get it in May, then we're bidding the architects out,
Felt a
we're
lot.
looking at 8 weeks.
Surely
Then
smelled.
we're bidding the building
Yes.
out, we're looking at 8 weeks.
right.
So that gives us about 10 months.
We need.
And OPM.
we're gonna- Yeah, you're gonna need, for this to go through design and full documentation.
OPM first.
We're gonna need, 10 months to get this thing out the door and ready for bid, because it's a public bid in Massachusetts. So it's a spec writer involved and all. So
Right.
It's a big process.
And that being the case, so that's approval at May, then you're 10 months from
No,
there.
it's not 10 months from there, right? It's,
Because we can't go into construction documents until you have an approval.
So May, 10 months from that, right?
I guess 16 months.
So, and then we're 10 months from May, you're in dead of winter, you will not start then.
Why not?
Yeah, you
All
will.
the time.
We started January for the PPA.
Yeah, you can.
But still, 10 months from May, you're talking, if we get the CR in, I mean, if it's a two-year thing for CR, it's actually starting to catch up. I mean,
That's is that guaranteed though?
no.
10 months to break ground.
I'm pulling that number. up.
Yeah.
On the CR thing.
As long as 10 months to break ground, so you need to know that CR 5 months before that,
We need to know which site we're.
6
doing.
months
We can't-
before that,
You can't,
Yeah.
you can't
we
design
can't have
a
a civil engineer designing a
That's
site
true.
he doesn't have.
so.
They're gonna start, they're the.
As soon as you
first
start
ones
the
to go.
design
Take
engineering.
the risk. We know what the
Yeah.
process is to modify CR.
I don't think we take a risk, I think we find exactly what it is.
No, but I mean, if we know this is what it takes, do we start, say, okay, we think we're gonna be successful, let's start focusing on Hopedale. North Ave and Hopedale and go under that impression, even though the CR has not been modified yet. That's the gamble I would
We
say.
need, after tomorrow's meeting.
Yeah, we need the lawyers.
After tomorrow's meeting, depending on what that comes out, tomorrow, after that meeting, we need to start the CR process if we're gonna do it.
That's exactly what I think,
Right.
too. So you know.
Yeah, who's gonna drive it? Lawyer?
Well, the lawyer will do whatever the loyalty stuff has to do.
Well, I mean, it's
and I'll-
gonna be,
You'll talk to
Knock
them.
on doors.
we would start it after this committee meeting, your next meeting. We get our answers tomorrow. This committee's got to weigh in on understanding what the answers are from Karis. And then if we say Hopedale, we start the process immediately. Is that fair?
And maybe she can let us know what that process would be.
Well, yeah, that has to be
Yeah,
part of the
so, like,
answer.
yeah, so,
Well, that's gotta be fine.
Where is the conservation here? Is it Ann Mesa?
no, it's a separate committee.
Conservation.
Are you-
Committee. Tuesday?
And do they know we're interested? Do they know we're interested in this?
Year.
I don't know that they've.
Who are they?
Can we meet Monday?
Wait, so is Mike on
You here?
conservation?
Yes.
You on conservation commission? So, yeah, so we have,
For 30 years.
yeah, so Peg, so there, yes, so at least one member is aware.
And in favor of.
Yeah,
Yeah, Monday moves.
I started handing up early, that's all I'm saying.
Can you do Monday?
I can.
Can we set a meeting for Monday then?
oh, about meeting Monday.
Oh, sorry, can you meet
Tuesday?
Monday? I'm sorry.
That's the fourth.
You can fill some shoes,
Yeah, we can do it.
I can't fill the shoe.
and the room's not booked, so we can do this room.
Oh, perfect.
Well, good, and I'll make sure I get my stuff in Elaine, so she blesses the meeting. We'll do that tomorrow.
I can do this instead of the school committee meeting.
Said Elaine.
Elaine.
I mean,
If you want to zoom in.
Wait, that's fine, you don't have to
no,
come.
no.
Wait a minute, she voted 16 and.
Hey, now, let's hope this
No,
balance.
Yeah, I can. do
Let's,
that.
let's make it a quick, short meeting to only discuss site and
Yes.
what we hear from.
Yes, yes,
what they're-
yes.
And get out, and let's set it to 30 minutes,
6:30.
6:30 to 7, let's get out of here. Is
Yeah, 6:30 is fine.
that fair
I
enough?
think that.
Yes.
What time is that one start, 7?
7, yeah.
Okay. You want?
Read my mind.
You can just zoom in.
Yeah, I can watch the recording.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody. That's good.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Meeting's adjourned. Everybody in favor?
Thank you, everybody.
Good meeting, guys.
6:30 on Monday.
Yes, here.
Show tonight.